Welcome to the Bromley Adult Education College Digital Drop-In Podcast, getting you back to work with confidence.
Hello, I'm Jill Collier and welcome to episode 45 of the Digital Drop-In Podcast. Today I am beyond honoured to welcome Lucy Lord. Hello, Lucy.
Hello, Jill. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute full circle pleasure moment to be here.
Thank you very much. It's Lucy's story, so I'm going to let Lucy tell you what happened. But obviously, a very successful career, but life had other plans for her.
Yeah.
And just my last checking, 187,000 followers on Instagram, 2 times Sunday Times best-selling author. The girl done good.
Thank you.
So, Lucy, where were you? What happened in brief to bring you to this niche that you've come to now?
Of course. I mean, and thank you. I love answering the question because I always think things like that make us reflect on our own life and our own story. And if you'd have told me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I'd be sat with you on retreat here doing what I'm doing now, I don't think I could have even imagined it.
No.
So I'll try and keep it short and sweet, but I used to work in pharmaceutical sales. So I did that for 12 years before transitioning into what I do now, which I always find hard to describe because I say I work with food. I don't really know how to.
I know, when I saw cook and baker, I thought, no, I can't say that. You're way beyond a cook and a baker.
Thank you.
So that's why I didn't mention it. But yes, you work with food. That's
I say I work with food.
Yes.
But what I like to think of is I have a brand called Supper Club, which started off being emails every single Friday with free recipes in there, which was kind of my way of helping people out there make recipes accessible. So I always think of the 20-something-year-old me that didn't know how to cook and really struggled with, making food and planning and prepping and all of that stuff. And so everything I make thinking of her. So I wanted them to be free. I wanted them to be accessible. I wanted them to be easy and just step by step, but still delicious. And as I started building Supper Club, so this email that goes out and still does every single Friday. Yeah, it started growing more and more. People started subscribing to it and it just kept growing. And from that, it's opened up all these new opportunities, be it, running retreats and bringing people around the world traveling like we're doing at the moment, and, different kind of products or online events or all of that stuff. So it's opened this door to something that is so much more than I can try and fit into a job description or job title. And I always joke with my friends and say, I feel like I haven't worked in the last 5 years. And at the same time, I feel like I haven't had a day off.
You haven't worked harder than ever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I hadn't actually thought about that, but do you know roughly what the subscription is to your Friday email?
Roughly? It's about 80,000, which is just incredible. And it's click rate, which it means nothing to some people, but it's 89% of people who get it delivered will click on it and spend at least a minute reading through it on Friday, which I think the industry average is something like 22% or something like that. So I'm really, really honored about that, but it's something that I spend hours, weeks, sometimes writing for each Friday, the time that goes into the recipes and the creating them and the taking the photographs of them. So it's really just an extension of myself. And then through that, it's, managed to land
I wouldn't say criticized you, but I do sometimes think you spend too long. You procrastinate, to get it perfect. Whereas we all love it, just whatever comes through. And your eye for detail and perfection is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really do go the extra mile.
Thank you. It means that honestly is the highest compliment that I could get, and as well, I think anything that you do in life, which is an extension of yourself. I think there's this quote that I love, which is, people and circumstances will always present themselves to reveal where you're not free. So for me, I have this thing with perfectionism and, I just want everyone to be happy and the thought of sending something out with a spelling mistake used to keep me up at night.
Yes.
And now it's like, well, action over perfection. It's never gonna be perfect. No. And so in these last 5 years, as I've moved from corporate into whatever it is that we call what I do now, it's really enabled me to work on that kind of perfectionism and just soften that a little bit and just not get too fixated on that, because I've been up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning writing supper clubs so that it gets out at 6 o'clock on Friday morning.
Has to be.
And I just think, do you know what? Most people wouldn't mind if it came out at 7:30 instead.
They actually wouldn't.
They wouldn't care.
So when you made this decision to make such a drastic change, I mean, sometimes people do it sort of piecemeal, like I'll try and do it in the evenings while I'm doing my full-time job. But when you made this decision, what comes first? Is it building an online presence on Instagram? Is it building, how do you get these subscribers to your email? How on earth did you navigate that? Did you have to do some sort of marketing or gut? Or...
Yeah, it's a really common question that I get asked, because when people ask me now, they're like, well, how if I want to do something like that, if I want to do more of what I love to do, because cooking for me was always a hobby, and then it evolved into this. And I would say it sounds really woo-woo, but for me, it wasn't really a choice. It just kind of kept happening, and the world kept aligning itself in situations where it was like, you know, you've got to choose this over that. And my very good friend, who I have so much to thank for this, James Smith, he said to me, you know, if there was a gun to your head, would you make this work? Would you give up your old job and would you make this work? And if you could do so well, because I really enjoyed my old job, I didn't hate it or anything like that. I don't have the classic kind of hate my corporate job story. And he was like, well, if you could do so well in that job, imagine how well you could do if it was something that you truly love. And I feel really grateful for the pharmaceutical sales, because it taught me a lot about sales and about marketing and about how people buy from people. It's not specifically the product. And I was always taught the kind of idea of 80% giving and value and 20% selling, or however you want to call it. Yeah. And so my focus is always giving as much as I can, be it free recipes or advice, or, you know, here's a podcast that I've loved, here's a book, something like that. And I think that off of the back of that, people just kind of like to, anyone who's got similar interests wants to support and they want to follow, and hopefully they kind of think that's someone who I'd go for a coffee with or for a drink with, or whatever it might be.
Definitely.
And then off the back of that, it's just kind of naturally built, but it's never been forced. And the only times that I have tried to focus on those kind of vanity metrics, if you would, it's only ever backfired.
Really?
Yeah. So I think if you focus on doing things for your love of it, that shines through, and that will be an extension of you through your products, through your podcast, through whatever it is you do.
Yes.
And off the back of that, you will naturally attract the people who want to support you, and it just opens up doors, and it's this beautiful kind of upward spiral that feels so messy at times, but it's my experience is that's how it works.
I was on a Daniel Priestley webinar recently. Amazing man.
Incredible.
Yes. And he said something so obvious, but I thought, I don't do it. And that was, people are buying into you, not necessarily your product. And if your landing page doesn't have a video of you on it, forget it. Yeah. Because even if you only read out loud what that landing page says, they'll either like you or they won't. And I just thought, he's so right. And I'm actively going to change some of my landing pages so that I do have a video, because it's fine if they're following you on Instagram, but if not, they may be, you know, it's so true. You buy into people rather than the product. And for some of the things I do, people have got to like me to want to work with me. So it's, you know, it's just little nuggets, isn't it, that you can pick up along the way.
And it's seeing the human behind it. It's, you know,
exactly.
when I think, because I'm a consumer of Instagram as well as a user of it, and when I'm kind of flicking through, when people are speaking to their story, for example, which honestly I still struggle with doing now, and I wish I'd have started it sooner because it's so confronting. But when you start doing that, people connect with you rather than just, you know, static images with text on top. We're humans. We want to connect with people, even if it's through screens. And so that kind of putting yourself in a vulnerable situation and filming yourself, I know it's so difficult, and it makes me have dry mouth even at the thought. But
you do it so well now.
Well,
so
clearly, but it still has that.
Does it still?
Yeah, it still is that feeling, and it is that kind of it's that acknowledgement of, okay, I feel anxious, but that just means I care. And actually, the feeling of anxiety is the same kind of feeling as excitement. So if I reframe it in my head and I just get it done, and the more reps you do, the easier it gets. to the point that you don't care anymore. You just do it. You don't care if anyone's looking, and you don't care if you do it. I just did one in my room upstairs. I've got chia seed in my a chia seed in my teeth from breakfast. But it's human. I don't mind about that kind of stuff. No one else will probably notice it.
No, but I think when you first start doing it, you are aware that you scratch your face a lot, or you say a lot, or especially if it automatically puts the text along the bottom, you see between every few words, and you do actually refine, what you're doing as well. So.
Absolutely, and everyone starts somewhere.
So we've got the subscribers to Supper Club, we've got the huge Instagram following. So where did these Sunday Times best-selling books creep into the matrix then? What prompted you to think I can put these? Was that to monetize your recipes? Or
Gosh, I think that anyone who might look at my stuff and be like, oh, she might have, made money through the book. I can tell you now, I will have lost money on the books because of the amount of time it takes to work with them, and regardless of how well they sell, it's not at all what people think they are. You've got to buy all the ingredients, and it takes nearly 2 years to write them, and it's not something that you do for money. And again, I think whenever we chase things for that reason, and this is only my experience, it never works out the way that you think it does. Whereas when you do things through love and through passion and through connection, through helping people, that tends to be the ways that will bring me in anyway, revenue or freedom or things like that. So I always come back to the reason why I'm doing things. But the books came about because I'd started sharing recipes online. I taught myself how to cook in my 20s when I first moved to Australia, and was like, right, I've got to figure out how to look after myself as an adult. And just really enjoyed the creative side. I've always been really creative, always loved making things, and just trying to figure out how to dilute it so that it's so that 20-year-old version of me, if I was making a cinnamon bun for the first time, I could read that step by step and know exactly how to make it. And it's not speaking in this kind of elitist language that only bakers use, and it's not using specialist ingredients or anything like that. And I just started doing that. And at the time, the whole lockdown stuff was happening. So everyone was at home, and they started baking banana bread, which is ironically a recipe that I'd created 3 months before. And so it kind of built that way. And a publisher reached out who had done my friend's books, James, reached out and said, hey, I think there's something here. If you, focus on maybe creating recipes for another few months and they get traction, then, maybe we can look at pulling a book together or something. And I was still working full time. So it was kind of something that I did at weekends and in the evening and just in my free time, if you would. And again, I did it just for the pure love of it and just trying to share what I love. I have no control over sales and stuff like that. And it took me about a year once the book came out to have the courage to pick up the book, because I'll flick through it and I'll think, oh, I should have written that differently. I don't like that photo, all that kind of stuff.
But in true Lucy Lord style, you then, for your next book, you wanted to do all the photography yourself, I think I'm right. So did you go on photography courses, or had you picked up enough from friends to be able to photograph your own?
Yeah, kind of a mix of both. So I kind of get hyper fixated on things. So I'm a big believer that we eat with our eyes first.
Yes.
And I know for me anyway, when I'm flicking through a magazine, if it doesn't have a photo to the recipe, I'm not even going to look at it.
No.
And then I always choose what I want to eat based off how it looks, how it looks on the image. And I think food photography is a real skill. And I've been fortunate enough to be behind the scenes when Cook for the Soul and Food for the Soul, which were my first two books, when they came out, and we had these incredible photographers who, had done authors of people like Donna Hay, who's a cook. Oh my gosh, I love her. I absolutely love her. They do all the Waitrose food photographs and stuff. So I would watch them like a hawk, just see how they were styling things, see what settings they were using, all of that kind of stuff. And so I just kind of picked up a few tips and through them, and then through making my own supper club recipes, which I shoot. I used to just do them on my phone, and I bought a proper camera and all of that stuff. And it's just little things that kind of slowly built up. And so when the third book came, the publisher said, hey, do you want to do do you want to do all the photos yourselves? And I just thought, oh my gosh, like my first thought is fear, because I know that it's going to be treble the amount of work and treble the amount of overcoming perfectionism,
Yes.
and all of that stuff. But I think anything that challenges us like that and pushes us slightly out of our comfort zone is something to grab with both hands, because it's only ever going to grow you as a human and a person. So
definitely.
Yeah.
And another clever thing you did, I mean, I do have your physical books, but I remember a few years ago I bought your first Christmas download book,
that's right.
digital download. And I remember messaging you and saying, I've only gone and printed it out, thinking you would be horrified. Like, that's not the point of a digital download, but I wanted to be able to flick through it as well. But if you look at it digitally, you've also very cleverly attached videos to it, so that if you do think, what does she mean by creaming or whatever, you can actually watch the video of you doing that, which is another dynamic that we didn't have years ago, you know. So there is, I guess, a place for the digital books.
For sure. And I created some so they were printable, because I know I like, when I'm having a recipe, I like it in front of me.
Yes.
And I love a book that's splattered with sauces and all of that. And at the same time, we live in an age where everything is on our phones. When I go to my shopping list, it's all on my phone and my notes app. And people had really been asking for like digital products as well. Can I get Food for the Soul on digital versions? And I thought the Christmas book would be great, because I love Christmas books and Christmas recipes, and it's such a beautiful, important time for food and families and coming together. But it's only for that kind of 1 month of the year. So publishers don't tend to love Christmas books, because they only sell for that period of the time. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try and make one myself and give it as like a digital offering, if you would. And again, and thank you for supporting it. It was so well received, and people loved it because it's interactive. So you can click into it, you can watch videos, and it's all the things that I love about a physical book. But because it's digital, it makes it a little bit more accessible for people. And if you want to print it off, you absolutely can.
Well, absolutely, because your phone screen goes dead, or your iPad, whatever so just to be able to have a mix of the both, have it printed out, but equally be going back onto the iPad to kind of
scribble notes on it. Like on my cookbooks, I would never be able to, resell them or give them to charity or anything after, because they're just scribbled with
a mixture
stuff.
You've got a mixture of the both there.
Yeah.
So there's so many things I want to ask you, but other spin-offs have happened. So you've got your cooking, which I guess is your base.
Yeah, my bread and butter, if you excuse the pun.
Bread and butter. And then you become involved in retreats. You've made limited merchandise.
Yeah. Everything that you could possibly think of, which is random. People say, well, what do you do for a job? When you meet people the first time, like, so what do you do for your job? And I'm kind of think like, God, I'm on the way to the post office with, 16 mugs packed up in a box. And I'm like, with croissants printed on them. And I just kind of think, I work with food. I don't even know how to explain it myself. But again, it's that beautiful thing of when we lean into something that's scary, something that's challenging, like leaving your job or doing something creative or making a new recipe or whatever it might be, these opportunities just open. And I think the more aware I've become and the more connected I become to Supper Club and, what people want to see and everything that I hope I create, it's to solve a problem or to add some kind of value to people's lives. And so, merchandise like mugs. I've got a beautiful friend in Sydney who makes these incredible ceramic mugs. She sent one to me just off the cuff, didn't even message it saying she was sending it. I popped it on my stories to kind of tag her in and be like, just got this. Oh my gosh, how beautiful is it? And it was like my DMs were flooded with, oh my gosh, can she make me one? Can she make me one? And I just thought, well, I'll ask her. So I messaged her, Sarah, how many do you think we can make? Because, there's, I think if there's something that I like, there's going to be some other people are going to like it.
Yes.
And for some people, it's just a mug. And for other people, like for me, I know the time and the care that's gone into making that mug, and they're all handmade and all of that. And it can, just have that little shift in the morning when I'm having my morning coffee. Just little things like that.
But again, you've picked on something that's not about you.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
No, you've picked on something that a lovely friend of yours did. But I'm also thinking of the T-shirts, the caps, the things that you've made, or not made, the things that you've had produced because you felt there was something missing, like your famous caps. We all have Lucy Lord caps or Supper Club caps. And you kind of not built that from, but you every detail was very important to you on those caps.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it?
And again, that was trying to solve a problem for me because I could never find a cap that suited me. And so when I did find one, I wanted some kind of funny food related slogan on front just for me. I never intended on having, thousands and thousands of them made or sold. But again, like, thank God for social media, because I posted myself a picture of me in my shiitake happens hat, and I got a few messages through being like, oh, I love this, can I buy one?
Yes.
And I didn't even know how to make that happen. And it probably took me about a year to make it happen, because I had no idea about wholesalers or buying things in, and it costs a lot of money to get all these things, and they all have minimum order quantities, and I want to make sure that it's all done ethically and all of that kind of stuff. And it's just brilliant because then I thought, well, gee, I might as well try it, and put them out there. And then fortunately, other people like them, and so we've ended up selling thousands of them. But that was never my intention.
No.
If I told me 5 years ago that this year I'd be paying my rent because of
caps.
I think I'd have looked at myself and been like,
It's a whole different ball game, though, isn't it? Because I predominantly sell services, so there is very little to buy in. But when you start selling products, as you say, you've got to come up with money up front, haven't you?
Yeah, and they're very different. Like products and services, essentially you're selling the same thing, which is a problem solving, hopefully, or support or added value or something.
Yes.
What you're selling is the same, but the logistics behind them are very, very different. So whether it's a service or whether it's a physical product, but it's the same but different almost.
Yes. I thought, should I introduce you as an influencer? And I don't know why, I don't like that term, influencer. It sounds pretty flaky. It doesn't sound but I did actually get the dictionary definition, and the term influencer is an individual with capacity to shape attitudes of others. And I thought, Lucy is an influencer.
Well, I'm not offended. I'm not offended if people call me that whatsoever.
Oh, she's an influencer. It has that connotation, doesn't it?
It does.
But you influence people in a way that changes their lives, don't you?
Thank you. I would love to think that would be the case, and thank you. And I'm never offended. If someone calls me an influencer, I'm not offended. I don't try and correct them, because I think we all have a level of influence in our life, even if it's to a direct family member or to, if you've got 100 people that follow you on social media or a million, it doesn't matter. We're all influencing. And I'm glad you got the definition, because I have friends who are what I would call an influencer who, work with brands online, and I've never done sponsored things or affiliate codes or anything like that. And I have friends who do it, and I know how hard they work, and I think incredible for them.
Yes.
It's not the line that I've gone down, but it doesn't make me any better or worse for it.
No.
And so if someone calls me that, I've got no problem.
Yes, I think you are absolutely right. We all influence in some small way, don't we? But you just have the capacity with your huge following to influence in a much larger way.
I hope so, because I know as a consumer, when there's people who I follow and look up to, or for whatever reason, and sometimes it can really change the shape of my day if I'm, just flicking through someone's story, and they might share a beautiful sunrise on the other side of the world, or right on this side of the world, and I might be having a bad day, or I see a quote, or you see something when you just relate to them, be it good or bad or whatever it is, and in this weird world, it can make us feel less alone or supported or whatever it might be. So I love if my page, for any reason, whether it's helping them make a banana bread, or whether it's helping them, find a cat that they like, or quote, or whatever it might be, the thought that I can have some kind of influence on them in that way is, I can't think of any better purpose for my day or my life, really.
Do you feel, once you walk away from a corporate world into your own little Lucy Lord world, can it be lonely, isolating, or do you find the fact that you are dealing with all of us all the time? I mean, I know you've done a collaboration with your lovely friend Alex.
Yes. Yep.
Do you like working with other friends, or do you like the control of being?
Gosh, it's a hard one.
I'm just curious whether it is isolating or lonely.
Yeah.
And as you say, when you're up at 3 or 5 in the morning thinking this has to be out by 6.
Yeah.
It's a pressure on yourself that nobody else cares about.
For sure. And for me, I'm quite an introvert. I recharge by myself. I'm quite used to spending my own time. I like going traveling solo and all that stuff. But even then, it can be so desperately lonely or alone, because all you're doing is problem solving, and people aren't ringing you in a corporate office. They're ringing you because something's gone wrong, or the wholesalers are late, or all you're doing all day is problem solving, and there just seems to be problems. And so off the back of that, I would say that the most difficult thing about whatever it is in these new roles that I've created, or anyone who works by themselves, for a company, whatever, is definitely the I don't know if I call it loneliness so much as just everything's on you. Yes. Everything is on you. And so, I joke with friends and say, as I mentioned at the beginning, I haven't worked in 5 years, but at the same time, I haven't had a day off in 5 years, because it's just always in your head churning. And it's not a path for everyone, that's for sure. Yes. But it is a brave and bold path, and anyone who takes it on, regardless of what they're doing, if they've got a car wash company, or if if they're an influencer, or if they're making food, if they're in the same industry as me and they're what other people would see as a competitor, however you want to put it, I have nothing but admiration for them, because I know all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, the buck stops with you for sure, but then when you flip that, you are in total control of everything as well, aren't you? Which for some people is a nice feeling, isn't it?
But then it has limits. Like I've just started working with a fulfillment center, because all of the caps to date, and I actually shake my head, but Daniel Priestley would be shaking his head if he heard me say this, but all of the caps to date, like I have packed up, folded, posted, written cards in, whatever.
We have our own personal cards from you.
Personal cards, everything. And that, from a business sense, is not scalable. No. And it's also not very good for your mental health.
No.
If you're doing that for a week solid, then I'm not making any new recipes, and I've not been outside for 2 days, and all of this stuff, just so I can get the caps out as soon as possible, like little things like that. It's not, you can't do that. So again, this job and this life is giving me opportunity to then work with other people, be it a fulfillment center, or be it friends through Alex, and you get to share the burden and learn together and grow together. And like, we're on a retreat at the moment with the wonderful Amy and Janet from Nectar. They do all of the planning of the retreats, and I bring the audience, I bring the people, hopefully, and the fun with everyone who manages to come to it. But I would never be able to do this if I had to do all the planning and all of the that's their expertise. So I think it's hopefully kind of two worlds coming together, and just people growing together, hopefully.
They do say once you're self-employed, you're unemployable. And I totally agree with that, because for all of the honesty you've given, there is the flexibility that you can fly halfway around the world to Australia or wherever you wish to go, and still work from your laptop as if you're in your house, which is also, I mean, I know in corporate companies now, they have, since COVID, it is a lot more flexible, but you can still kind of tailor it to suit your week or month, can't you? Which must be
like my weekends. I love working on weekends because it's quiet, and I love taking days off or mornings off or whatever on a midweek, because I can go to the cafe and there's no queue. It's just quieter. But sometimes I am jealous of people who still have their corporate job, and I think if that's what you want to do, and as long as you're happy doing whatever it is you're doing, I think it's incredible, because I remember the days where you'd finish work at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. on a Friday, and that's it. You can just, do whatever you want until Monday, and it's that freedom.
You can, but you know what? I think since emailing messages has come about, I don't know if you ever do switch off anymore.
Now it's got to be a conscious choice, which I think is why, the world is, mental health is struggling, social media is this whole conversation. It's definitely got to be something that we consciously choose to do, rather than, we're not just gonna randomly get 9 hours of sleep on a Saturday night left to us.
Because I'm predominantly self-employed, my diary comes with me everywhere, and it's still a paper diary. I can do everything digitally except my diary, because I need to physically flick and see where I've got big gaps. So for me, it's a very large diary. And a couple of years ago, I thought, no, I'm not taking it on holiday with me. That whole 2 weeks, while messages were coming in and I was having to try and remember who'd said what to who, and I can feel the anxiety in my stomach.
I can feel it for you.
As I'm even telling you, it was the most horrific, because I came back to so much. I thought, I'm never doing that again, because bite-sized amounts every day. Book that person in there, book that person in there. Bite-sized amounts for me actually, even when I'm on holiday, is not a problem. To come back to 2 weeks worth of it was just the stupidest thing I ever did. I almost wanted my diary to be flown out to me by, carrier pigeon or something, DPD it out, because it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. We have to figure out our own, that once you leave a corporate, which is a very structured 9 to 5 or whatever it is, once you leave that, no one tells you how to do this stuff. And what works for some people might not work for other people. And I'm the same as you, I'm on retreat at the moment and we've got these 5 beautiful days away. But if I just left everything, or my emails would stack up and all of that, I would be not looking forward to finishing it.
No.
Whereas if I spend half an hour in the morning or tucked away at lunch, just in my own little quiet time, getting on top of emails, getting on top of messages, whatever it is that I need to do to feel like, I'm moving the scale forward or moving the needle forward, I can do that, and that's fine. And that's great. And there is no right or wrong in this. You kind of create your own structure, your own schedule. But I often find you only ever work out what works for you.
Yes.
By doing what doesn't work for you.
Doing
which
what
tends
didn't
to be
work.
other people's advice, which,
But we have to fail to learn, don't
Exactly.
we? And everything does
failing
have a
forward, that's what it is.
Failing forward,
Failing
that's a good
forward.
term, yeah. And something I listened to your friend James Smith's podcast, or I listened to all of them, but he had somebody called Lara Acosta on very recently on about LinkedIn and the pros and cons of LinkedIn. But she said something that I had to actually sit with for a while to accept, but now I have accepted it. And she said, if you follow your passion, you will probably fail. If you follow your strengths, you will probably succeed. And I thought that goes against what everyone is telling us to do at the moment. Follow your passion, do whatever you want. But I looked at the various jobs I do and I thought, I have followed my passion with a lot of them, but they're actually things that now I think about it are my strengths. They are things that I'm good at. And I then thought about you, knowing I was going to interview you, and I was thinking, put that into sort of Lucy's terms. So although you have followed your passion, you are clearly very good at what you do, or it would not have succeeded, would it?
Yeah, I think they intertwine, because for me, I love food, I love eating food, and I like problem solving. For me, the food is a byproduct. I think we're all here. I think we all have this creative thing within us, regardless of what we do for a job or how we end up living that life. I think we all have something within us. And for me, I love creating and I love sharing. It just happens to be that how I do that, the modality that I do that through is food.
Yes.
So my passion, I wouldn't say is making recipes and sharing it at all. My passion is hopefully helping people to, have a somewhat easier life, whether it's, I get messages being like, my kids will actually eat this bolognese, or, you've helped me meal prep, or sometimes I'll have I'm a newly single father. I didn't know how to cook, but I can follow your recipes. It can be, I'll get choked up thinking about it. It can be the whole scale. And for me, that's my passion is in helping people.
Yes.
It just happens to be through food. And I think often they can be intertwined, skills and passion. And my strengths, I think, if I dare say, are in hopefully helping people in problem solving and taking something which might be quite complex, say cinnamon buns in this example, and diluting it down so that Sarah, who's never switched on an oven before, can follow this recipe step by step and end up with edible, delicious cinnamon buns after it. And that's I'd say that's my skill.
Yes.
It's hopefully problem solving and sharing that. It just happens to be that it's through food. So I do think sometimes they can intertwine. But again, I'm passionate about yoga, but if I went down the teaching yoga skill, that would never work, because it's not my skill. My skill isn't teaching yoga, it's my passion.
It's your passion, yes.
But I think it's great, and I think when I hear things like that and we sit and we question them, it's brilliant, because sometimes they're intertwined, but often they're two very separate things. And sometimes I think the worst advice you can give is just follow your passion. It will work out.
Everything will be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. And it's not quite as simple and as seamless as that. Unfortunately. It's just quite a nice marketing line.
It is.
Follow your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. And there's this amazing quote that I heard, which is, I've never, that quote, follow your passion, you'll never work a day in your life, couldn't be further from the truth. You will work harder than you will ever work before, but the tools will feel lighter.
Perfect.
And as soon as I heard that, I thought, that's nailed it. That's
Yes.
absolutely nailed it. You will give everything to it, but it will almost feel like you're pushing something downhill rather than uphill. That's how I see it.
No, I totally agree. The things you enjoy doing, you don't really count the hours in the same way as you do when you walk in doing something that you dread.
Exactly.
Do you?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
So where does Lucy Lord go now? Do we know?
I don't even know. And I think there's beauty in that. I love the idea of having a baggy plan and a baggy routine. So I do really well with structure, and I do really well with having some kind of idea of, how my day's planned out. But at the same time, I'm just open to opportunities. You never know who's listening to things. You never know which is why I think it's just, if you've got something to share, just start.
Yeah.
Just start and just accept the first 100 posts you'll do or emails you'll do or whatever. You won't be happy with them.
No.
But
They won't be your finest work.
They won't be your finest work. But by 101, it'll be better, and you'll achieve far more than if you do nothing at all.
Absolutely.
And you never know who's listening. You never know who's there. You never know what universal energy, if you would, is lining up. So I have no idea what I'm going to do next.
So is even your baggy plan not a plan then?
Oh, my baggy plan is not a plan. I just think, and I think the more that you do, you lean into opportunities like this. These retreats have only come off the back of mutual friends putting, myself and the organisers in touch. And it just so happened that they were looking for new retreat spaces that were based around food, and I happened to have a business around food in this, beautiful community and audience. And I thought, well, I like traveling and I like food, so if I do some kind of collaboration with them, then maybe we can make this work. So I have absolutely no idea, but what I do know is that it's going to be fun, it's going to be challenging, it's going to hopefully grow me, but most importantly, it's going to hopefully give back in some form to people. An influence. Of influence,
yes. Well, I really hope this will be so enlightening to people, because I think you've covered a lot of good points there, and you're almost like a charity.
I'll take that. I will take that.
So thank you very much for your time. I know you're used to doing podcasts on a really grand scale, not me with my little iPhone and my little mics, but so I am truly humbled that you were prepared to do this podcast with me.
As soon as you asked me, I was like, absolutely 100% yes. I adore you. I adore everything that you have given to me, be it through, words, emails, anything like that. It's had such an impact on my life. I can't put it into words. So this for me is as important as any conversation that I will have with anybody, if not more so.
Oh, well, we're both going to have a good cry now. Yeah. So thank you very, very much for your time, Lucy. Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast has been produced by Jill Collier for Bromley Adult Education College. For help with all your job searching needs, do visit one of our digital drop-in venues. Our free sessions are advertised on our website at www.baec.ac.uk or telephone 0208 659 7976. We offer free use of computers for job searching, advice on creating a winning CV, plus lots of short training courses to gain skills in the digital world. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast to receive notifications of new episodes.